Welcome to Stories We Love. Stories We Love is about stories we love. We bring you extraordinary people, situations, or circumstances that will remind you of how much good there is in the world, open your heart, open your mind, and inspire you in new ways. My name is Karen Lorre. I'm your host. And to get the full playlist of Stories We Love, you can go to storiesweloveshow.com, and there you will find all the episodes plus other bonuses. We interview people who are making a positive difference and who truly care and who are benefiting this gorgeous world and its people and its creatures. And we also are interviewing people who show us that just even as one person, we have much more power than we think. I'm so very happy that you are here. Stay tuned because today we get to interview the amazing and wonderful Gundala Rhoades. Gundi is a veterinarian, but she's also very wise about a lot of things. So, Gundi, you wrote a book about food and human health. First, tell us what the name of your book is.
This is my book called The Food Solution by Dr. Gundala Rhoades. Why did I write the book? I'm a veterinarian and a farmer, which happened by accident through a marriage that I ended up in Australia from Europe on rural property, breeding big black Angus bulls. And through some funny twists of history, I ended up as the, like some death and some divorce, and I ended up being the owner of this farm, the property breeding Angus cattle, which then one day the bulls were all castrated and I had to do something else with it. So I converted it because I was always into science and always into the environment, into health. So I transformed my farm into an organic farm. And that is when my journey started. And I did that for about 10, 15 years. So I learned a lot. I always say I was a miserable farmer because I was a very busy woman with 3 children and my own business as a vet clinic. And you might know about vet clinics, they are not 9 to 5, they are 24/7. And so I was very busy and the farm was somewhere in the background, no time, no money. But it gave the farm also time to regenerate. And I met amazing people. And so my journey into learning about organic, regenerative, biodynamic led me to find the soil. And then the journey began. And a fascinating story, which then I connected a lot of dots in my learning period.
Tell me more about how the soil brings us to health.
To start with, the soil is actually producing the building blocks of life. And without those building blocks, we cannot live. But this is what we are doing. And I explain that later, where the building blocks are. So I went down some scientific rabbit holes, and had a look. And I found that every single vitamin, bar vitamin C, is actually made in the soil by bacteria. So when you really contemplate that every single one is made by bacteria and fungi in the soil, so you can go through B1. Yeah, you know that you can eat B1 with like the whole grain, for example, which we don't eat anymore either, ending up as we are living on less than 1 milligram a day, where we should have 5. Yes, so you know that you can get it from whole grains, but I wanted to know, how does that go into the whole grain, into the germ of the wheat, for example? And it turns out that the plants don't make it. They suck it up from the soil, right? So you can eat B12 in meat. Did the cow make that? No, mammals can't make it. It is the bacteria that made it. So I went through every single vitamin, B1, B2, B3, B5, 6, A, D, E, K1, K2. Everything is made in the soil by the microbiome of the soil.
Tell us how we can shift things for ourselves so that we can be healthy, so we can get the vitamins and the minerals and the other amino acids that are so important for our overall health and well-being.
Really simple. This is so simple. Eat organic, eat biodynamic, eat regeneratively grown food, or grow your own. If you eat meat, eat grass-fed, stay away from feedlot meat. Heal yourself. Your body gets the nutrients so that it can function as energetically and positively and happily as it ever could.
So you're basically saying that if people were to eat organic, regenerative, biodynamic, or any combination of those foods, that means no fast food, right? But tell us how we can shift things for ourselves so that we can be healthy, so we can get the nutrient-rich food that comes from living soil that's full of the microbes and the microbiome and all of that stuff.
I think if you eat 90% well, let's say, so in my cupboard, when I go shopping, I go to my local little shop that belongs to my friend, and I support her, and I buy everything that I can organic, most things that I can local, as much as I can, and I don't beat myself up about it if I can't. And then that's in my cupboard, so for breakfast, I could have oats and I roll them myself through my little roller. Very simple, I'm not cooking. I'm just making whole grain oats, bit of milk. There is my breakfast muesli, yeah? Or I have eggs, most people can do eggs, mushrooms, sort of like an avocado for breakfast, then you're already, if you have organic ingredients to start with, you're halfway there. And then if you on a Friday night go out and splurge and have some non-organic champagne, that's fine, because then your body can handle it. We don't have to be wrapped in cotton wool. Our bodies are so resilient. They're still alive, although 99% of people eat food that has got no nutrients, and they're still standing. They might not be standing very well, but they're still standing, so we are really resilient. So you can handle that, if you have your basics, about nutrition right, and then most people can put a salad together, or can boil some organic potatoes, and you certainly can put a steak into the frying pan.
For me, I don't eat anything that is processed food. So that means I don't, if it's in a box, has an ingredient I can't make on my own, I don't buy it. So I don't eat anything that's processed. I only eat organic, mostly vegetables, and then I do eat organic meat. And like I don't eat grains either. So I eat if I don't eat breakfast, I do intermittent fasting, but let's say I ate breakfast but I did this for dinner too. Is I do I shred Brussels sprouts and then I poach a couple eggs, and the combination is so good and I put the poached eggs on top of the Brussels sprouts, and and I cook the Brussels sprouts. They're so good, so good, and it's so easy. And there's so many things you could do. It's easy to make asparagus. It's easy to make so many things, so many vegetables, and then steak can be pretty easy. It takes some skill to get it, the way you like it, but it's not that hard once people learn how to do it. And I think one of the things you talk about that I love is when you say doctors facilitate healing. They don't create healing. They get out of the way. They help the patient get out of the way. And can you talk a little bit about that you've seen with your veterinary clients or your human clients?
So if I get a broken bone, I can put it back together close. I'm not healing it. I just put it in place. If I get a dog that got injured by a pig and has got gashes on its side, I can fix it. I can stitch it. If a dog is succumbing to an infection, I may choose to use antibiotics at that time. But the healing is always done by the body itself. It's never us. We facilitate. Your body is a healing machine. That's what it does. Cut yourself, it will heal, with or without my knowledge. Your biochemical pathways in your body, I studied all of those. I don't think we know a tenth of what's happening in our body. It does it anyway. Sure. So it just happens anyway. So as doctors, we just sort of should know, we just facilitate the healing.
And when you say regenerative and biodynamic, I would love for you to define what that means to the person who's never heard of it, because I've been focusing on this for a few years, but not everybody has. So when you say regenerative and biodynamic, tell me more about what that means.
To explain biodynamics, it's organic on steroids. So they're working with cosmic energies and with flow forms and more with bacteria and more with energies. And that goes back to Rudolf Steiner, German, Austrian, going back a few decades, where he discovered this system, and beautiful. So you can say that biodynamic food has got an energetic component to it that is absolutely beautiful.
And just if nobody knows who Rudolf Steiner was, he's the one who created Waldorf schools, and he also was,
Yes.
he just had a lot of innovative thinking. What I find that's so fascinating is that not just the human body can recover so quickly and is so genius, but this planet is so genius. And soil, even though we call it dead soil, that soil can recome. I mean, that's why we're talking about regenerative farming, because the soil can actually become alive again and full of those microbes, and it takes things like worms, and it takes things like manure and all that stuff, and different manure from different animals. And it's such an interesting subject, because it is in its infancy, but it's also been around for, this is how nature just grows. Nature just, animals roam free when they're in a free place, and so they're always propagating the soil just by just doing their thing, and eating different stuff, and they'll eat different food depending on the region that they're in and the timing of the season and all this stuff. And so it's fascinating to me how the soil can regenerate, the soil can be alive, the human body can regenerate. And I'll just share one thing from my own experiences. I was diagnosed with a melanoma. This is years ago. And the doctor said she would remove it, and she was going to remove it the next Tuesday. I was in a store, ran into another doctor who I knew socially, and he said, "You have a melanoma." I said, "I know." And he said, "You need to get it removed." I said, "I'm going Tuesday." This was a Friday. He said, "Come in tomorrow. You can't wait that long." I went home and I meditated. I got out of the way. I meditated for the whole day, and if I woke up at night, I meditated. I got up in the morning, my face where the melanoma was completely clear. My body knew what to do. I did not need to get cut. There's so much power that we have, and it's so interesting. And I love the simplicity of the choice you're saying, which is, be mindful and get at least the organic label. If you can get the biodynamic label, I get meat that is organic, biodynamic, and regenerative. I mean, they say it, or they say organic and biodynamic, and then they say regenerates the soil or something. I don't think they label it, whatever. And eggs also, and the eggs. I mean, the meat and the eggs, when you get food that is organic, it tastes so much better. And then what happens, at least from my own experience, when the more I eat in a healthy way, and the more nutrients I get, I haven't had sugar in over 10 years now, almost 11 years, because I just don't crave it anymore. I don't crave grains because I'm getting so nourished by the healthy food I eat. So that's a really helpful thing, I think, for people to know, that because our taste buds literally change according to what we eat. And if you start to eat healthy, things that are not healthy start to become distasteful.
And then, what you said is so true on so many levels, so the regenerative agriculture evolves around animals actually going through landscapes, and we could talk about that for half an hour, so you got to start somewhere.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Gundala Rhoades. I really appreciate all your wisdom. I appreciate all your sharing, and it's just lovely to see you again. And thank you all who have joined us today on Stories We Love. Again, I'm Karen Lorre. I'm your host, and you can go to storiesweloveshow.com. And thank you again, Dr. Gundala Rhoades. I so appreciate you, and thank you so much.